When people talk about black love on television, they often highlight the couples who appear strong, who survive the storms together, and who present themselves as solid partners that can stand the test of time. For years, LaTisha and Marsau Scott were considered one of those couples. They had the big house, the businesses, the family unit that seemed unshakable. On the outside, they looked like the picture of success partners in both life and work. But as time went on, the picture started to crack. And those cracks weren't hidden for long. The unraveling of their marriage didn't happen quietly. It wasn't something whispered about in the shadows. It became messy, it became loud, and it played out right in front of the public eye. At first, Marsau seemed calm. He had that businessman charm, the type who always managed to say a lot without really revealing anything. He was smooth, calculated, and confident. LaTisha, on the other hand, was seen as the supportive wife, the one who stood by him through everything, smiling even when storms raged in the background. But those smiles weren't signs of happiness. They were shields, covering up pain, covering up survival. The whispers started small. People noticed little things. A missing wedding ring here, a cold look at a public event there. LaTisha appeared distant at gatherings. Marsau stopped showing up on her posts. Fans started to put the pieces together. Then the rumors picked up speed. Screenshots began circulating, private messages were leaked, and receipts started stacking up like a Jenga tower about to collapse. The real turning point came when LaTisha received a direct message from a fan, not a troll, not someone looking to stir drama, but someone who claimed they wanted her to know the truth. Inside that DM was a screenshot that allegedly showed Marsau talking to another woman. It wasn't casual. It wasn't friendly. It was flirty. Too flirty for a married man. When LaTisha saw it, her heart sank. According to those close to her, she felt crushed. And though Marsau swore the messages were fake, LaTisha wasn't convinced. That moment became the spark that lit the fuse. But here's the twist: it wasn't Marsau's reaction that shocked people, it was LaTisha's. Instead of falling apart or lashing out, she went quiet. Not the kind of silence that comes from defeat, but the kind that signals calculation. It was the silence of someone planning their next move. Behind closed doors, LaTisha began moving in silence. Sources say she contacted a lawyer. Not to file for divorce, not yet, but to start drawing clear boundaries. Financial lines. Legal protections. She even froze one of their shared business accounts, the one tied to their black cigar lounge. Why? Because she suspected Marsau had been dipping into business funds for reasons that had nothing to do with business. While LaTisha was working in the background, Marsau was too busy trying to control the story online. He posted cryptic messages, subtle jabs about disloyalty and fake rumors. Fans weren't fooled. They called out the gaslighting, they pointed out the manipulation, and most importantly, they began to rally behind LaTisha. This wasn't just another story about a man cheating and a woman waking up to reality. It ran deeper. Families got involved. Friends started taking sides. Even the cast members from Love and Marriage, Huntsville, began whispering behind the scenes. One insider described it as chaotic, with group chats filled with screenshots, voice notes, and secret recordings. It felt less like a reality show and more like a spy thriller. And then came the most shocking twist. LaTisha's mother, Miss Wanda, had quietly been gathering her own receipts. She had grown tired of watching her daughter suffer and decided to do some digging herself. When she finally confronted Marsau with screenshots and voice notes, LaTisha was blindsided. She hadn't known her mother had gone full detective. Instead of feeling supported, she felt ambushed and exposed. Betrayal came not just from her husband, but also from her mother's interference. From there, everything exploded. Tensions boiled over, filming had to pause, and the picture-perfect marriage fans thought they knew shattered in real time. LaTisha didn't cry for the cameras. She didn't post a dramatic rant online. What she did was much colder. She disappeared. She packed bags, took the kids, and left, not permanently, but long enough to make her point. She rented an Airbnb across town and went completely silent. No calls, no texts, just peace. For once, it was Marsau who had to sit in the discomfort of not knowing what came next. On the fourth day, he showed up, trying to use that same charm that had always worked before. But this time, LaTisha didn't even open the door. Instead, she texted him, "You always say you need space to think. Now it's my turn." That's when Marsau began to panic. Not because of love, but because of control. For the first time, he realized he wasn't the one pulling the strings. While he scrambled to figure out how to get her back under his influence, LaTisha was already playing a bigger game. She hired a private investigator quietly. No one knew, not her friends, not her producers, not even her mom. She wanted facts, not speculation. And the PI delivered. The investigator reported that Marsau had been making late-night visits to a woman's house in Birmingham. Same car. Same time. Multiple nights. It wasn't just suspicion anymore, LaTisha now had evidence. Meanwhile, Marsau was unraveling in plain sight. He filled Instagram with cryptic posts like, "People love to play victim when they're the villain and loyalty isn't loud, it's real." But fans weren't buying it. Comment sections lit up with people dragging him left and right. One person wrote, "You gaslight better than you build, and that says a lot." Ouch. But Marsau wasn't done. He took it further. He tried to cut LaTisha out of their shared businesses. He removed her name from flyers, locked her out of files, and even accused her of mishandling company funds. But when the accountant checked, everything tied to LaTisha was spotless. Marsau, on the other hand, had questionable payments linked to the same Birmingham address the PI had uncovered. That was the final straw. LaTisha decided she wasn't protecting the image anymore. She sat down for a private interview with a major black media outlet. The footage hasn't officially aired yet, but a leaked behind-the-scenes clip hit the internet. In it, LaTisha said, "Silence is no longer strength. It's suffering. And I refuse to suffer in silence any longer." The internet went wild. LaTisha Speaks began trending. Even Melody Holt, who hasn't always been LaTisha's ally, liked the clip and reposted it. Suddenly, the power dynamic flipped. LaTisha wasn't the quiet, loyal wife anymore. She was the woman holding the cards, and Marsau was the one scrambling. Then came the voicemail. A leaked message allegedly from Marsau to LaTisha surfaced online. His voice was angry, bitter. "Don't forget who made you," he reportedly said. "You want war? You got it." It was threatening, it was full of ego, and it backfired instantly. LaTisha didn't respond with anger. Instead, she posted a black screen with one simple line, "A man who tries to control you after losing control was never in love. He was obsessed." That one post went viral. It was her mic drop moment. For the first time, LaTisha wasn't just seen as a reality TV wife caught in drama. She became a symbol. A woman choosing herself. A woman walking away from manipulation. A woman showing that silence doesn't equal weakness. But the story didn't end there. Just when fans began celebrating her strength, Marsau made another move, one that shocked everyone. Instead of stepping back or reflecting, he doubled down. He demanded editing rights from the show's producers, threatening to quit the next season if he didn't get them. He claimed he was being painted unfairly, that the narrative was against him. But by then, the audience had already seen enough. The smirks. The shade. The silence. The manipulation. The man who once built his image on control was now losing it in front of everyone. And producers? They weren't buying his excuses either. The showrunner, Carlos King, had to step in personally. According to people close to the situation, Carlos King tried to step in before things went completely off the rails. He arranged a private Zoom call with both Marsau and LaTisha, hoping to settle things quietly. His goal was simple: keep the drama on the show where it belonged, not spilling uncontrollably across social media. But Marsau wasn't interested in boundaries or peace. He was fueled by anger, and all he wanted was payback. During the call, he accused LaTisha of damaging the family's reputation and even warned that if certain scenes made it to air, he would drag the producers into court. His tone wasn't just defensive, it was threatening. But LaTisha didn't flinch. Calmly, with a steady voice, she told him, "You don't own the truth, Marsau. The truth stands on its own, and sooner or later, it comes out." Not long after that, papers were filed. It wasn't a divorce, at least not yet, but a legal separation. And this wasn't some publicity stunt or empty gesture. It was real, with teeth. The documents spelled out everything: how the assets would be divided, where the children would live, and, in the boldest move of all, a clause that required Marsau to complete a full psychological evaluation if he wanted shared custody. When fans heard about it, they were shocked. This was no longer just reality TV. This was real life, with lawyers, judges, and consequences. Behind closed doors, the fallout was even worse. Marsau's polished image in the business community began to crack. Invitations stopped coming. Business partners backed away. Even his pride and joy, the Black Cigar Lounge, felt the ripple effect as whispers spread around Huntsville. People started choosing sides, and many of them weren't siding with him. LaTisha, on the other hand, seemed to find new strength. She stepped onto a stage at a women's empowerment conference dressed in all-white, radiant, calm, and fearless. No husband standing behind her, just her own voice. Her speech was fiery and heartfelt. She didn't name names, but everyone knew who she was speaking about. Her words cut deep: you can't build a future with someone who only sees you as a decoration for their ego. That clip spread like wildfire. Within hours, it was everywhere: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Brands reached out. Event organizers called. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was thriving. LaTisha had stepped into her own spotlight, not as someone's wife, but as a woman with her own power and story. If you liked this breakdown, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a story. Celeb Nova will have it all covered for you.